When I was 12 years old, I spent a month in a hospital where I was bullied by other kids my age. And this experience rooted one quality in me, and it is conflict avoidance. Because, you see, when you get bullied, you have pretty limited options. Either you turn into a bully yourself, the concept of if I suffered from something, then others should suffer from the same too, or you become very careful, very socially aware, and avoid open confrontation at all costs. Because you learn that chances of you winning are pretty slim. And my experience was still light. I bet every Eastern European girl that grew up in the 90s has somewhat similar stories to tell. But even if you were not bullied, being conflict avoidant is what society tells every small girl. When boys are playing in a playground, adults say, yeah, boys will be boys because they think that boys need to learn how to stand up for themselves. And when girls argue and push back, they say, you should be nice, don't be mean. There is a concept of good girl report cards, I don't know how to translate it properly, that teachers praise girls for being quiet and obedient. They say, oh, you're such a nice, you're a pleasure to have in the class. But don't always expect the same from boys. Or if girls play a board game or sports with boys, sometimes we hear adults saying, don't beat the boys or otherwise they won't like you. Or do you want to embarrass him? So basically they suggest for girls to lose on purpose. And when girls are teenagers, it's even worse, because how many times have you heard this phrase, oh, you would look so much prettier if you would smile. So it is expected for a girl to be pleasant because smiling girl is what is apparently pleasant to look at. I don't know. Apparently we're forbidden to walk around with a neutral face. Or there is like this people-pleasing 101 that if your friend asks, where do you want to eat? The answer that is expected is often, oh yeah, I don't know, where do you want to eat? And stepping into even more dangerous area, there is a concept that girls, teenagers, you know, like they start dating, you should play hard to get. So you should be nice to people that you may not even like. So we're taught to not reject someone directly because it is mean. So instead you can kind of soften the blow, maybe pretend to be interested but be polite, which is so screwed up on so many levels. And if two girls argue with each other, they're portrayed as catty or toxic. Things like that are getting rooted in young girls. So many of us grow up to be quiet, be accommodating, be good team players, prioritize the relationship and harmony over standing your ground and your point of view. But why is it necessarily bad? Because conflict avoidance means being nice. So it seems like a good thing, something that helps you in life, something that keeps you safe when you're not arguing with people around you. And at work, we're often rewarded for these traits because conflict avoidance, nice person, usually is a easy person to work with. It's a non-problematic employee. But when women want to do anything remotely related to leadership, completely different traits become important, and these traits were not taught to us. Standing your ground because you need it. To negotiate salaries, you needed to push back on bad decisions at work, which is often happens. Say no and avoid people-pleasing behavior. Handling conflicts because it is impossible to be a leader and avoid tough conversations and making difficult calls. It is a part of the job. It's unavoidable. Or sometimes walking away from toxic situations. Instead of adapting to them and tolerate it with patience, good leader sometimes needs to walk away from a toxic situation. And it's not a bad thing, but it's not something that we were ever taught, or many of us were taught. And as a result, many very talented women struggle in transitioning to leadership positions because they are capable, but they just never trained the skill sets in the right way that is necessary for a managerial role. But there is another side of this coin, because very often I see women being very skilled in leadership skills, but the skills are not recognized as leadership. For example, as a manager, you often need to navigate social dynamics with the mastery. So you need to read the room, anticipate others, sense the difficult tension, which a lot of people can do effortlessly. Women often conditioned to keep things running smoothly without taking credit for it because of all of the emotional labor. And actually a lot of women have a very big mental load, from tracking toilet paper supply in your house to all of your family's birthdays. I don't know. They are used to do a lot of invisible work that holds families, teams and businesses together. And the irony of that is that all of these are leadership skills. The ability to mediate conflicts, understand people, build strong relationship is a very crucial leadership superpower. And the additional irony is, I know a lot of men who actually had to learn all of these skills because these are skills, to power. And a lot of women were taught these skills because it is needed for your survival. Plus, things like emotional intelligence, conflict mediation are often called soft skills. But here's the thing, they're not soft, they are essential for a leadership job. There are essential skills. The only reason they are not seen sometimes as a real leadership is because they were not designed for a male-dominated system that values dominance over connection. But we also know that there is a kind of a penalty for women being too bold. So women who do push back often face a backlash. There are studies that show that assertive women are seen unlikable, while assertive men are seen as strong, while showing exactly the same behavior. Is just a question of perception. So that's why I imagine and empathize to a lot of women who, how to put this, they struggle to even start pursuing maybe leadership opportunities or start showing this assertive behavior, because at the end of the day, it's not black and white, right? There is a balance between one and another, but you need experience of showing your assertive behavior to find where is this balance for you. Because every person is different and every woman is different and we lead differently. But how do you find this balance if you just never even allow yourself to show your assertive side at work? It takes an internal willingness to not be liked by everyone, to at least try and find where is your balance. There are several things that we can do to stand our ground. For example, we can recognize the moments of our default nice behavior. For example, when we sometimes phrase our ideas more as a question instead of a statement, or when we soften the words to make others comfortable instead of just saying what you mean. Or sometimes we're saying sorry for things that don't even require an apology. For many of us, conflicts feel unsafe. And there is no surprise here because many of us were told to avoid conflicts. Do you think it is even possible to go through not even a leadership career, any type of a career without any conflicts? I don't think it's possible. And I don't think that it's a problem because conflict is not bad. Conflict is a tool. You have it in your toolkit, you use it when it's needed, you know how to deal it when it happens to you, and you don't avoid it when facing it maybe would give you a bigger advantage. There is another incredibly powerful thing. Imagine this. You are on a meeting with the person and you made a direct request and the person remains silent. And now the silence is getting a bit too long and it's getting awkward. And what do we usually do in situations like that? We usually start talking, we usually add more words, or we explain ourselves, or we suggest something else, because our emotional intelligence and sensitivity to the reaction of others pushes us to soften the uncomfortable situation. And this is such an important thing to unlearn, because we need to know how to hold discomfort instead of avoiding it. And it is uncomfortable, but surviving through these seconds of awkward silence, will make your position stronger. Although in the beginning of the video I said that there is a skill set that is considered leadership that a lot of women are not taught, a lot of people go with this as far as saying that women are not strong enough for leadership positions. And the problem is, first of all, I deeply disagree with that, and second of all, these definitions come from a leadership model that was built by men and for men. There is this picture or like a portrayal of how strong leader should look like, and a lot of people are getting upset and frustrated and pissed, sometimes even because women don't fit into this picture. But here's the thing, women don't have to lead like men. They can lead as themselves, and it can look different, and it can be as successful. And if you ask me, maybe sometimes even more successful than what we used to. So I started this video with my conflict avoidance and some of the reasons how it rooted and originated in me. And it took many painful years of trial and error, maybe even to unlearn this conflict avoidance. Because at some point I realized, I clearly saw that it does not serve me, it doesn't help me in career, it doesn't help me in life. It brings more damage to me than it brings good. And one of the things that did help me is to have strong female leaders at work around me. The power of role models is very, very real. And if while watching this video you thought that maybe you also have this conflict avoidant parts inside you, I want for you, just for the fun of it, to maybe start saying no to something that you don't want to, or make a decision without apologizing for it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.